Hey guys, and welcome back to another Tech Galaxy video. This is Faisal, and today we are going to be talking about Apple. And just to say, I know it isn't related to this video, but just to say that yesterday was actually the 40th anniversary since the first Apple Macintosh PC released. It was 40 years ago in 1984 when Steve Jobs unveiled it. So just saying that yesterday was a historical day for Apple. But let me tell you, that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are going to be talking about that Apple announced some changes to iOS, Safari, the App Store in the European Union, or in Europe, just to say. So for users, these changes include new controls and disclosure and expanded protection to reduce privacy, security risks, threats, scams, XYZ. So it's let me go down. So Apple announced today these changes to iOS, Safari, and the App Store, and this is impacting developers' apps in the European Union. Okay, and these changes include more than 600 new APIs, expanded app analysis, and all that. And across every single change, Apple is introducing a new safeguard that reduce but don't eliminate these new risks DMA poses to EU users or European Union users. And with these steps, Apple will continue to deliver the best and most secure experience possible for EU users. So the new options for processing payments and downloading apps on an iOS open new avenues for malware, frauds, threats, scam, all these scams, threats you get. So that's why Apple is introducing these new protections against all the threats, including notarization for iOS apps and an authorization for marketplace developers and disclosures on alternative payments. And to reduce risk and deliver the best, most security experience possible for users in EU or European Union. And even with the safeguards, like despite all these safeguards, the risks, threats, scams, it still remains. So basically, developers can learn about these changes, and actually they can test on the iOS 17.4 beta, and these new capabilities will be available in 27 European Union countries, and it's going to start beginning in the March of 2024. So just about yes, so just about maybe 2 months. So these changes comply with the Digital Markets Act requirements in the European Union while helping to protect European Union users from unavoidable increased privacy and security threats this regulation brings. And okay, so Phil Schuyler, an Apple fellow, he said that developers can now learn about the new tools and terms available for this alternative app distribution and alternative these payment processing. So these changes for the European Union apps reflect the European Union's Commission designation of iOS, Safari, and App Store as a core platform services that it's used so much under the Digital Markets app. So in March of 2024, Apple will sell new resources to help European Union users to understand the changes as they expect, and this includes guidance to help European Union users navigate with all these all these new changes. And okay, and it's available for developers around the world. And Apple has announced new options for streaming games. So so as I said again, I would like to pause. So as I said again, that Apple so Apple's it was Apple's Apple is just like changing over time, as I said. Not just the Apple Mac, but the whole Apple world is just changing over time. So changes to iOS. So in the European Union, Apple is making a number of changes to iOS to comply with the DMA. So for developers, these changes include new options for distributing apps. The following coming from changes to iOS in the EU include, okay, this is very important, new options for distributing iOS apps from the alternative app places, including new APIs and tools that enable developers to offer their iOS apps to for download from alternative app marketplaces. New frameworks and APIs for creating alternative app markets, enabling marketplace developers to install apps and manage updates on behalf of other developers and the dedicated marketplace app. New frameworks and APIs for alternative browser engines, enabling developers to use browser engines other than WebKit for browser apps and apps with in-app browsing experience. And this request form, developers can submit additional requests for interoperability with iPhone and iOS hardware and software features. So as the European Commission said, Apple is also sharing DMA complaint charges impacting contactless payments. So this new thing this new APIs enabling developers to use NFC technology in their banking and wallet apps throughout the European Economic Area. And in the European Union again, Apple is introducing new controls that will allow users to select a third-party contactless payment app or an alternative app to marketplace as their default. And these new options for developers European Union apps create risks to Apple users and their device. And Apple can't eliminate those risks. Even if they put all this, they can't eliminate 100% of risk, threats, scam, cyberbullying, I guess. But with these DMA's constraints, the company will take steps to reduce them. These safeguards will be in place when users download iOS 17.4 or later, and it's going to begin in March, as I said earlier again. And these will include notarization for iOS apps, a baseline review that applies to all apps regardless of the distribution channel, focused platform on platform integrity and protecting users. And notarization involves a combination of automatic checks, human reviews, and app installation sheets that use information from the neutralization process to provide at a glance descriptions for apps and the functionality before you download them, including the developer screenshots and other essential information. Mm. Authorization for marketplace developers to ensure marketplace developers commit to ongoing requirements that helps protect users and developers. um this is like basically protecting, and the additional malware protections that prevent iOS apps from launching if they are found to contain any malware after being installed to a user's device. So these protections, including neutralization, iOS apps, and authorization for marketplace developers, help reduce some of the privacy and security risks for to iOS users in the European Union, and that includes threats like malware or malicious code, and risks of installing apps that might misrespect misrepresent, sorry, I'm mixing words all there, the functionality or the responsible developer. However, Apple has less ability to address those other risks, including some apps that might contain scam, fraud, abuse, threats, or that expose users to illicit, objectionable, or maybe harmful content. In addition, apps that use alternative browser engines other than Apple's WebKit may negatively affect the user's experience, including impacts to the system performance and maybe even the battery life. So within the DMA's constraint, Apple is committed to protecting the privacy, security, and quality of the iOS user's experience in the European Union as much as possible. For example, App tracking transparency will continue to work with apps distributed outside of the App Store, asking a user's permission before a developer tracks their data across the apps or websites. However, the DMA's requirements mean that the App Store features, including family purchase, sharing, and ask to buy, will not be compatible with apps downloaded from outside of the App Store. So I'm gonna skip this. So to changes to Safari. So Safari. So today iOS users already have the ability to set a third-party web browser other than Safari. If you're using the iPhone, if you those of you who have an iPhone out there, I posted poll few days ago in asking who has an iPhone. So those of you who have an iPhone, most people probably, everyone probably has Safari as their default. And Apple is also introducing a new choice screen that will surface when users first open Safari in iOS 17.4 or later, and that screen will promote European Union users to choose a default browser from a list of options, meaning that if they don't want to use Safari, then they don't have to use it. Okay, this change is a result of the DMA's requirements, and this means that European Union users or EU users will be confronted with a list of default browsers before they will have the opportunity to understand the options available with them. The screen also interrupts EU users' first time experience. They may open Safari intending to navigate to a web page. So changes to the App Store. App Store, we all know App Store. It's very, you download all your apps from there. So let me talk about now changes to the App Store. So on the App Store, Apple is selling a number of changes for developers with apps in EU affecting apps across Apple's operating systems, including iOS, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS. These changes also include new disclosures informing EU users of the risks associated with using alternative apps to secure payment processing. So for developers, those changes include, now let me talk about all these changes. So new options for using payment service providers within a developer's app to process payments for digital goods services. New options for processing payment via a link, where users can complete a transaction of digital goods and services on the developer's external websites. Developers can also offer EU Union users of promotions, discounts, and other deals available outside of their apps, and business planning tools for developers to estimate fees and understand metrics associated with Apple's new business terms for apps in the EU. So the changes also include, so let me just say, these changes also include new steps which will protect, secure, inform European Union users, including App Store product page labels that inform users when when an app they are downloading uses an alternative payment processing. And I actually think that this is actually good news for users, and it's making their experience more safe and secure. And this in-app disclosure sheets that allows users to know when they are no longer transacting with Apple, and when a developer is directing them to transact using an alternative payment processor. New app review processes to verify that developers are accurately communicating information about transactions that use alternative payment processors. And expanded data with portably on Apple's data and the privacy site, where EU users can retrieve new data about the usage of the App Store and export it to an authorized third party. For apps that will for apps that will use alternative payment processing, Apple will not be able to issue refunds. If you don't know what refunds is, it's like when you pay something, you get it, then you don't no longer want it, so you return it and you get the money back, and will have less ability to support customers encountering issues, scams, frauds. I know it doesn't say here, but threats, cyber stuff, all that. Helpful Apple Store features like report a problem, family sharing, ask to buy will not reflect these transactions. Users may have to share their payment information with additional parties, creating more opportunities for bad actors to steal sensitive financial information. And financial information is like credit card, all those private financial stuff, like like you don't want someone to know your credit card number, let's say. And on the App Store, users purchase history, and by the way, financial information also includes purchase history as said. And on the Apple Store, users purchase history and subscription management will only reflect transactions made using the App Store's in-app purchase system. So okay, so let me talk about new business terms for apps in the EU. So also today, Apple is sharing a new business terms available for developers in the European Union. Developers can choose to adopt these business terms or stay on Apple's existing terms. Developers must adopt the new business terms for EU apps to use the new capabilities for alternative distribution or alternative payment processing methods. So the new business terms for apps in the EU are necessary to support the DMA's requirements for alternative distribution and payment processing, and that includes a fee structure that reflects many ways that Apple creates values for developers, businesses, including distribution and discovery on the App Store. The App Store secure payment processing. Apple's trusted and secure mobile platform and all the tools and technology to build, sell, and innovative apps with users around the world. So what they're saying, they're trying to make the Apple Store's payment processing methods. When you, let's say you for my phone, if I buy an app, so they are trying to make the App Store more secure and safe for all users. So that's good news. So developers operating under either set of businesses terms can continue to use the App Store's secure payment processing and sell their apps on the App Store in the EU. And both sets of businesses reflect Apple's long-standing work to make this ecosystem the best opportunity for all developers. So developers operating under the new business terms will have an option to distribute their iOS apps from App Store or alternative app marketplaces. These developers can also choose to use alternative payments processors in their EU apps or the App Store across Apple's operating information. So the new business terms for iOS apps and in the EU have these following three elements. So these following three elements are reduced commission. iOS apps on the App Store will pay a reduced commission of either 10% for the vast majority of developers and subscriptions for their first year, or 17% of transactions for digital goods and services. So payment processing fee. So iOS apps on the App Store can use the App Store's payment processing for an additional 3% fees. Deliverer fee. Developers can use a payment service provider within their app or link users to the website to process payments with no additional fee to Apple. So core technology fee. iOS apps will be distributed from the App Store or an alternative app marketplace will pay 0.50 euro for each first annual installation per year over a 1 million threshold. So under the new businesses terms, so this is what Apple estimates. Apple is estimating here that 99% of developers would reduce or maintain the fees that they owe to Apple, and less than 1% of developers would pay a core technology fee on their EU apps. So for apps on iOS, sorry, not iOS, sorry. For apps on iPad OS, Mac OS, Watch OS, TV OS in the EU, developers who process payments using a PSP by linking out their websites will get a 3% discount on the commission they owe to Apple. And Apple's also selling a free calculator tool and new reports. Let me check this out. What is this? Oh, nice. So, this is a fee calculator. So, estimate how the different models may apply to your business in the iOS or the EU. So, this is very cool. So, yes, so I think that's it for this article. And I hope you like this video. And if you live in the European Union, in the 27 countries, then this is for you, because these changes are very good, and the main purpose is to reduce all these security risks, threats, and all of those harmful stuff. So that's it for this Tech Galaxy video, and I will see you in another Tech Galaxy video. Signing out, Faisal. Goodbye.